I'm Moses Gaither Ganem. My pronouns are he, him, and along with Reverend Krista Taves and Reverend D. Evans, welcome to Eliot Chapel. We are a free, liberal congregation aspiring to the ideal of beloved community. We are joined today by guest minister Reverend Roz Cook from First Unitarian Church of St. Louis. She is a plant biologist who loves bird watching and spending time outdoors. She found her first UU church in Watertown, New York in 2005 and found the spiritual home she didn't know she needed. Sharon Morgan is available for pastoral care if something is weighing on your heart. If you or a little one become restless, there is a live feed in Fellowship Hall with lots of room to run. It's out those doors and to the left. Unfortunately, it does now have sound. Hooray! Big thank you to Ken for figuring that out. All right. So there's plenty of room to run. There will be snacks in Fellowship Hall as well, and if you would like, you may take your younger children out to the playground. To our guests, thank you for being here. Tim Gardner is here to answer any questions about our congregation or about Unitarian Universalism after the service. There are guest forms at both entrances to the sanctuary and at the QR code on the screen so we can stay in touch. Please join us for coffee hour and take a blue cup so we'll be sure to welcome you. If you are a member or friend, look for the blue cups and be sure to welcome our guests. Our online coffee hour is on Zoom at 1:30. And now, I invite you to join in our welcome today by responding with "You are welcome here" at the end of each statement. If you are black, brown, white, indigenous, APIA, whatever your origins, you are welcome here. If you are an immigrant, a refugee, or a person without documentation, you are welcome here. If you believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. If you have a disability, visible or invisible, or are neurodiverse, you are welcome here. If you have been here 100 times or just came today, you are welcome here. If you want for nothing or struggle each day to make it through, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love or what your gender identity, you are welcome here. For this is a community of diversity, of love, and of justice, and it is good to be together. Let us enter into the spirit of worship. Thank you, David. The flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. We light a chalice to signify that we are entering sacred space. Today's chalice lighting words are from the Reverend Scott Taylor. Notice now this flame, seemingly so singular, dancing alone. Yet, pull it back, look with more attentive eyes. And slowly, the chalice cup comes into view. And the air that, while unseen, keeps the flame alive. All of it a reminder that being lovingly surrounded and beautifully bound is what sets us free and allows us to flourish. May this be the gift of this precious hour. May we, too, pull back and see ourselves anew. How tenderly tethered we are, and how wonderfully that sets us free. Please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth, and remain standing for our congregational covenant.
As a free congregation, please join me.
Yeah, sure. Unitarian Universalism, our covenants are the agreements we make between us for how love becomes real. Let us join in speaking our congregational covenant. As a free congregation, we promise to one another our mutual trust and support. To create beloved community, we promise to be kinder to each other than we have to be. To listen fully to each other with an open mind and heart. To speak responsibly and respectfully. To find ways to improve our church for all members and friends. Please be seated. Every week, we share our offertory with a community organization that reflects our values and commitment to service. This month, we are sharing our plate with Circle of Concern, a West St. Louis County food bank serving more than 1,200 families annually. Circle of Concern offers wraparound support for eligible households, including wholesome foods, emergency rent, and utility assistance, counseling, career mentorship, scholarships, kid programs, and more, to help families move from crisis and uncertainty towards stability and hopefulness. You can donate through the plate or through the QR code on the screen and in your order of service. We practice generosity, knowing our gifts create ripples of love and care in our community. Let us be a generous people. Please join me in dedicating this offering to the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action. We dedicate our lives, and these are offerings. And now I invite all the children to come forward for our wisdom story. Excuse me, go ahead.
Because I forgot to turn it on?
Nope, because I didn't know to turn it on. And Ken's got us covered. Thank you, Ken.
Oh, there are tons more kids coming. This is exciting. And my mic is on. Sorry if I'm yelling. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to be patient here, which it's hard, but we can do hard things. Okay. More kids. Yay. Come on up. Okay. So you guys can see what the story is going to be about, right? Yeah. Okay. And it's about a very little bird. Can you see the bird yet? Yeah, that's how little it is. You can't see it yet. Okay. Okay. So the book is called Little Bird, and the author is Germano Zullo, and the illustrator is Albertine. She has no last name. So she's just got a weighty name. So there aren't a lot of words here, but are you guys watching up there? Okay. Okay, keep watching. And we're just watching this truck, and it gets to sort of the edge of a cliff. Some days are different. And there's someone stepping out of the truck, and he's going towards the back of the truck, and he's opening the door, and something flies out, right? Yeah. Oh, but it's not. There's so many birds flying out.
And the littlest bird is little bird.
Yeah, keep your eyes out for that little bird. So one could almost believe that one day is just like another. And he's looking in the truck. But some have something a little more. Nothing much. But there's our little bird. Just a small thing. Tiny. Most of the time, we don't notice these things because they're so small, right? Because little things are not made to be noticed. They're there to be discovered. And when we take time to look for them, the small things appear, here or there, tiny, but suddenly so present, they seem enormous. What is he doing? It's a great question.
It's running away from the cliff.
The small things are treasures, true treasures. There are no greater treasures than the little things. One is enough to enrich the moment. Just one is enough to change the world. The end. Yeah. Thank you guys for being up here. Okay. This morning's reading is called Red Bird. Oh, I'm sorry, I was in the wrong spot. Thank you, Moses. We have a prayer and meditative hymn. And this one is titled To Practice the Revolutionary Act of Noticing, and it is by Reverend Michelle Collins. Come, awake your senses to this moment, where we practice the revolutionary act of noticing. The breath that sustains us, the beauty hiding in ordinary hours, the small things that keep hope alive. Come, let us train our attention on that which leads us home. Let us enter into a time of silence for the prayers and meditations of our hearts. Let us speak the names of those we would hold in care. Amen and blessed be. Please remain seated for our meditative hymn, number 15, The Lone Wild Bird. You guys did a great job with that. That was not one that was very familiar to me, and I know it's always hard to get a congregation to sing maybe things that aren't super familiar, so I applaud you. All right, now I'm going to share the reading, and it is titled Red Bird by Mary Oliver. Red Bird came all winter, firing up the landscape as nothing else could. Of course, I love the sparrows, those dun-colored darlings, so hungry and so many. I am a God-fearing feeder of birds. I know he has many children, not all of them bold in spirit. Still, for whatever reason, perhaps because the winter is so long and the sky so black-blue, or perhaps because the heart narrows as often as it opens, I am grateful that Red Bird comes all winter, firing up the landscape as nothing else can do.
Blackbird singing in the dead of night, and take these broken wings and learn to fly all your life. You were only waiting for this moment to arise. Blackbird singing in the dead of night, take these sunken eyes and learn to see all your life. You were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly, into the light of a dark black night. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly, into the light of a dark black night. Blackbird singing in the dead of night, and take these broken wings and learn to fly all your life. You were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for this moment to arise.
Moses, and thank you, Matthew. I couldn't have asked for a more beautiful piece to be played. Okay. It's rare that I wake up when my alarm goes off at 7 a.m. It's not that I oversleep, but that I am already awake. I can't blame the dogs or my neighbor, who loves their leaf blower more than anyone should. My wake-up call sounds like a robin or a white-throated sparrow singing an early and gleeful tune. And my mom is the reason that I can tell you the specific names of the birds that are waking me at dawn. I am sure that many of you would agree that some of the best gifts that we ever receive don't come tied with ribbons and bows. And I give my mom most of the credit for the gift of paying attention to nature, and birds in particular. It certainly didn't feel like a gift when I was dragged around as a kid to all sorts of weird and woodsy places. I certainly, like most kids, would have preferred to be at home, probably in front of the television, or maybe outside playing with my friends. But my mom was kind of relentless because she was passionate. My mom is a bird watcher. It's an odd breed of human being, but very easy to spot if you were looking in the right places and recognize the clues. The best skills needed to be a good bird watcher is to pay attention to the small details. It also helps if you have a good ear, because you can often know where to look. It certainly helps to have decent vision, because being able to see certain details and patterns will help you identify the birds more readily. Persistence is a necessary quality too. Finding a small creature in the tip-top of a leafy tree is not a challenge for the half-hearted or the impatient. After I reached a certain age and was finally old enough to admit it, and that is older than you'd think, birds are charming, and they are everywhere once you start paying attention. What's not to like, unless you were completely terrified by that Alfred Hitchcock movie? Birds get to fly, which is just about the coolest thing, in my opinion. Who doesn't want to fly? That is the stuff of dreams and fantasies. Birds also come in nifty colors. Close your eyes and picture the bright red cardinals, the deep indigo of an eastern bluebird, or the sunshine yellow of a goldfinch. You can bribe birds to show up at a bird feeder right outside your window, if you were lucky, and see them first thing in the morning without even having to change out of your pajamas. But if you want to see a larger parade of birds, you have to go to the woods, and you should probably get dressed before you go. Birds don't just enhance our environment through the joy we find in seeing them. They can tell us so much more about what's going on in the natural world. If you were paying attention, birds can tell all sorts of stories, and that's the idea I'm here to share today. As a member of a religious community which believes in the interdependence of all beings, I'm going to show you how our feathered friends' lives are intertwined with ours. In every area of the United States, there are specific birds that are indicator species. This means that the population of these birds can tell us a broader story about the health of the ecosystem around them. The canaries that miners took into coal mines are an artificial but perfect example of this idea. They were intended as an early warning system for dangerously high levels of carbon monoxide. This invisible gas is deadly to birds and humans. If your canary died, it was definitely time to get out. For many of us, birds seize our imaginations. We can see the birds, literally, as birds, to be counted, or we can see our birds more fantastically. I am going to circle back to the wisdom story for a quick moment. As improbable as it might seem, on the last page, the man is floating through the air with the little bird perched on his shoulder. I am going to call this a metaphor. I mean, people don't fly, or do they? Unless flying is your freedom to do what feels right, what gives you pleasure, or what others say you can't possibly do. Birds represent freedom for us land-based humans in the strongest sense. Birds gave my mom a certain freedom when she was the mother of 3 and filling the traditional role of stay-at-home parent. A red-breasted grosbeak showed up in our yard one day. They are admittedly very handsome birds. They are a stark contrast of black and white with a vibrant cherry red necktie that splashes down their breast. And seeing this sparked her. She wanted to know more, and she started to pay attention to all the birds. Pretty soon, she was taking classes through the Webster Groves Nature Study Society and going on bird walks with their group whenever she could find the time. We would now plan family outings around places where my mother wanted to watch birds. Although all 3 of us kids did our best not to seem too enthusiastic, some of the birds were intriguing, and the names started to stick in our heads too. When we kids were old enough to pack our own lunches and get to school ourselves, our mom was rarely home in the mornings because that was the best time of the day to be out bird watching. The early bird supposedly catches the worm, and the early bird watcher definitely catches the birds. Birds are morning people. My mom continued to circle further and further from home with her birding friends. She traveled all over the country with groups who offered specialized trips to see birds in unique locales. My mom found a whole new identity for herself in these spaces. She wasn't just a wife and mother. She was a passionate, educated student of birds. And she collected a circle of friends who delighted in spending most of their free time adding birds to their life lists, too. She had found her flock, and like the man in the wisdom story, by witnessing the birds and being delighted by them, she found her own wings, and she flew. My mom would be lost without her birds. They are such a huge part of her world. What would her life, or anyone's life, be like without them? The title of Rachel Carson's famous book, Silent Spring, refers to the unusual quiet of a suburban morning with no birds calling. The author asks her readers to imagine a world without those oh-so-familiar chirps, hoots, and tweets. The birds are gone because of the large number of toxic chemicals that have been unleashed into the environment. And the same poisons that have killed the birds will also endanger other wildlife, pets, and humans. Rachel Carson was making a hypothesis based on the evidence that biologists were reporting. Something was very wrong, and the birds were trying to tell us something with their silence. Carson ends the first chapter of her book by confirming that this town I'm writing about doesn't actually exist, but it might easily have 1,000 counterparts in America or elsewhere in the world. She further asserts that this fable is based on reliable evidence, and every one of these disasters has actually happened somewhere. And many real communities have already suffered a substantial number of them. Her final addition is, this book is an attempt to explain what has already silenced the bird voices of spring in countless towns in America. Birds were the species Carson chose to capture her readers' hearts and minds as she wove this story of the dangers of indiscriminate spraying of chemicals into the environment. For me, reading this book 24 years after its original publication date of 1962, I was sort of naive and sort of shocked to learn about all the pushback that she had received. To me, this book was like the environmental Bible. and a roadmap. Silent Spring cited reports from experts. How could people not take that seriously? It felt sacred and prophetic in its appeal for everyone to see the truth for themselves. The evidence was not only visible to experts, but could be seen by anyone who was paying attention to the world around them. Birds were dying. People were dying. There was little room for interpretation. Yet, as in all good David versus Goliath fights, the better bet was on the victory of the chemical manufacturers. They insisted the harm was not coming from their products. They did their best to discredit this uppity female scientists. Representatives from corporate firms and members of the government cabinet attempted to discredit the research, calling her radical, disloyal, unscientific, and my personal favorite insult for a female, hysterical. And not as in funny. So, the former Secretary of Agriculture even said she was probably a communist. In the end, Rachel Carson's warnings all proved to be both correct and accurate. The evidence has continued to accumulate since Carson published her manifesto. The idea of bioaccumulation of DDT in the environment is something I can remember from my childhood when eagles were on the endangered species list. Our family participated in the Christmas eagle count along the Mississippi River for at least a dozen years. My memory is pretty strong about the number of donuts I ate each time, and a little bit fuzzier about the number of bald eagles we counted. The goal of the project was to see how many bald eagles we could find in one day. It was a citizen science project back before that name was commonly used. We were helping to see if more eagles were surviving year after year. The persistent chemicals that they ingested from the fish that they ate had been proven to weaken their eggshells. Since eagles are near the top of the food chain, they ate the bigger fish, which would have eaten a lot of smaller fish, and thus eagles have more chemicals persisting in their fat, and fewer chicks hatching logically meant fewer eagles. We all have Rachel Carson's persistence and vision to thank for the fact that DDT was banned for use in the United States in 1972. The creation of the Clean Air Act in 1963 and other pro-environmental government safeguards were another direct result of the conversation begun by her book, Silent Spring. Bald eagles are now off the endangered species list. They were on there from 1967 to 1995. Probably most of you have seen at least one, right? Can I get a show of hands? Okay, almost everybody, that's great. I would like to finish with a very local story about eagle survival that is part of the legacy of Rachel Carson and her bravery for being able to speak the truth. The World Bird Sanctuary is a local 501c3 whose mission is to protect and preserve birds and their habitats through conservation, rehabilitation, and education. My dad hasn't shown up in this story yet, but I will add here as a side note that he was the first president of their board and helped file the necessary paperwork to make them a nonprofit back in 1977. I highly encourage anyone who is interested in meeting some eagles and some very other large birds up close and personal to go visit their sanctuary out in Lone Elk Park. Lots of raptors and other birds of prey that cannot be released into the wild live there and work as ambassadors to help educate the public about the species. Murphy, a bald eagle, was one of the long-term residents at the sanctuary. He arrived in 1994 with a severely injured wing that could not be repaired well enough for him to survive on his own in the wild. So in March of 1923, I'm doing the math in my head, that's what, about 30 years. That's an old bird. So in March, several years ago, Murphy started doing something odd. He started sitting on an egg-shaped rock inside his enclosure. He became very defensive when other birds or keepers got too close to his rock. His keepers finally put up a sign explaining his behavior and suggested that he probably thought he was incubating an egg. They humored him and let him sit on that rock. And then a two-week-old baby eaglet arrived at the center that had fallen from a nest, and the nest could not be found. So the eaglet had to stay. The staff wondered, would Murphy believe that his egg had hatched? Murphy wanted to believe that the baby was his. Maybe that's what faith looks like in an eagle. Murphy took to the role of foster parent quite successfully, and baby Rocky, as he was called by the press, learned how to behave like an eagle well enough to be released back into the wild on a warm fall day later that same year. Here was Rachel Carson's legacy playing itself out. I feel like she would have cheered, along with the others in the crowd, as this young bird left his transport box and flew into the air for the very first time. I was there to witness this release, and I can tell you, this bird flapped his wings for the first time out in the wild, soared high above us, and did not look back. I certainly believe that we live in a world that is full of connection. If the birds are healthy and thriving, then hopefully the human beings are also healthy and thriving. My mother's life was tremendously enriched by her passion. It brought her into herself, into community, and reconnected her with the interdependence of all things. That is the promise for us, a promise of healing and wholeness, if we are paying attention. Will you please rise in body or spirit for the closing hymn, number 343, A Fire, Mist, and a Planet, and then remain standing as we close the service.
Let us extinguish our chalice and share our benediction. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. May love bless you, and may joy find a place in your days. Love to you all. Go in peace.